Welcome, Solara here. I hope you guys are doing well today. I want to take a moment to welcome you if you are visiting for the first time. Welcome if you are returning or if you are a subscriber. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for all your love and support. Thank you for the beautiful compliments you left me in the comment section in the last reading. I haven't gotten back to all of the comments yet, but I did see them as they were coming through, and you guys are very, very kind and generous, and I appreciate all the sweet things you had to say, and I did read them, even if I haven't responded to you yet. Okay, so I've been wanting to come on here for about 2 days and get this reading out the way, and there's always distraction, delay, something to kind of get in the way, which is very much like the energy of now. It's distraction and delay, trying to kind of curb the inevitable. So once upon a time, these distractions and these delays, they actually did cause a real slowing down. But what I'm noticing more than anything right now is these distractions and delays are doing their best to stop what is already coming through, which is already inevitable. And sometimes what actually happens is that the more these energies come in to try to detract, deter, get us off track, it actually puts us on track faster to where we're going if we are alchemizing the energies, because we're fully aware that this is what's happening and this is what we can do. So I'm here to do a reading. I can't be on here too long. I know you're going to laugh at me when I say that, but I really can't, because I am meeting in an hour's time with my monthly Substack group. So I want to get into the cards, and I want to share a download that I was getting, and then I want to go into the cards and see how that opens up for us. Okay, so before I get into that, just a quick announcement. I do have the last midweek group check-in session for the month of July is happening this coming Wednesday, July 31st. I just put up that, I just opened it up on my Ko-Fi for those of you who would like to attend. It will be occurring on Wednesday, July 31st at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time or 6 p.m. UK time. In these sessions, I pull a card for you. You can get personal guidance around the situation that you're dealing with, as well as we come together and kind of provide support within a group setting. So it's proven to be, all of these groups I've been hosting, whether they're the midweek group check-in sessions, the Substack Q&A that I'm hosting shortly, that's for my patrons over on Substack, or whether it's, the Road Back to Wholeness or Tarotstrology groups. What it has proven to help a lot of us with is our ability to come into a group setting and to feel safe. So that in and of itself is a beautiful thing. But this Wednesday, it's the midweek group check-in session with personal card pull and personal guidance. So I'll put the information for that in the description box below if you would like to attend. I also, to kick off the month of August, Thursday, August the 1st, I will be hosting my Sun and Moon Placement Tarotstrology small group Q&A. So that's a small group, no more than 7 people, where I dive into your Sun and your Moon placement in accordance with your personal astrology through Tarotstrology, which is where I use tarot, channeling, astrology, numerology in order to speak to you about the contracts that connect you through those placements. Very specifically, your Sun connects you to your father and the contracts you have with him. Your Moon connects you to your mother and the contracts you have with her, as well as the repetitive ways you were wounded throughout every incarnation in the false matrix. Your Moon placement will often shine a light on that story. In other words, the emotional energy that was being constantly picked at to harvest you or the story, your Moon will share some of that also. Okay, so I did this group a few weeks ago, and it was quite popular, and I said I would do it again. It's important, or it's not necessarily important, but it's a good time to dive into your sun and your moon sign in the seasons of Cancer and Leo, because Cancer is, of course, the sign that is ruled by the moon, and Leo is ruled by the sun. So collectively, we're in the energy where we are already doing the work around those energies. Anyway, whether your sun is in Leo, your moon is in Cancer, it doesn't really matter. Once we enter into Cancer and Leo season, we are already dealing with these contracts with our mothers, our fathers, our placements in our family, our childhood wounding stories, our foundations. It's all connected to your sun and your moon sign, okay? And it plays itself out. A lot of these things that we have to heal will play themselves out in a more pronounced way during Cancer season, Leo season, and also Virgo to some extent, but really through Cancer and Leo season. So if you would like to join me on Thursday, August the 1st, the information for that will also be in the description box below. I believe that one will begin at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is 5 p.m. UK time. But all information, the correct information, if that's not the right time, it will all be in the description box and comment section below. And I look forward to seeing you there, seeing familiar faces, seeing returning faces, and hopefully meeting some new people also. So yes, okay, let's get into it. So the download I was getting, it came in a few days ago, 1533 as I start. I love it. Mastery. Let me just pull up the, okay. So what I was hearing was you can't lie to a recording angel, okay? You can't lie to a recording angel, or at least you shouldn't. You can't lie to a recording angel, or at least you shouldn't. So this might be for some of you who have a connection also with Archangel Metatron. If the way this would come up in a chart when I read people's Tarotstrology, it's often those of you who tend to have this energy would have been born in a lot of retrogrades. Okay, so people who are born with a lot of retrograde energy, you tend to be keepers of records when it comes to very specific events, situations that have to do with those planets that were in retrograde and their relationship to the earth, right? So oftentimes record keepers, universal record keepers, are those of you who were born during retrogrades, or at least that's how I read the energy. We all have our own Akasha, right? We all have our own Akashic records, our personal inventory, recording of everything that we've ever experienced for as long as we've been in existence, right? And then we have the Akasha that is very specific to the earth. We have, it's not your Akasha, is it? There's another record that is vaster than your Akasha, and it has to do with your entirety of your galactic history, I think, and I forget the name of it right now, but your Akashic records have to do with the recording of all of the events, the things you've been through, as well as it holds information about who you actually are, your gifts, your talents, your resources, your access, your codes. Okay, so we are electromagnetic beings who are constantly in the process of activating and deactivating things in accordance with who we are, the frequency we're carrying, the codes that we carry, the access that we have. And as people come into our energy, depending on who they are, we have the ability to connect with them energetically also, beyond the things we say and we feel in their presence, based upon our energy blueprint. So, for example, I will always say when you guys come together in group, especially Tarotstrology groups, you actually are able to see this more in people's personal astrology. A lot of people will hold very similar placements that choose to come together in my Tarotstrology groups. And what is happening is that those beings are actually activating one another in that placement. Okay? So that's like an example of how it plays out in a way we can see. So I can look at your chart and the other person's chart, and I can say, oh, okay, this person's activating you here and you're activating them here. This is how you're going to be helping one another today as you leave, you know, etc., etc. But I can see that in your astro chart, but we're doing that all the time. We're constantly activating and deactivating one another in accordance with what's going on in our own energy fields and what's going on in other beings' energy fields, for better and for worse. Now, as we get deeper into ascension and as we take ownership of the truth of who we are, and we get back a lot of our gifts and our resources, our position here on the earth planes that has been usurped for as long as we were underneath the abuse structures of the false matrix, which were designed to press us and to keep us small so that we wouldn't rise back into our proper placement and our divine gifts and resources and what it is we came here to do. For as long as once we rise back into that position and we begin to be activated into our truth, then there are certain gifts and access that we lost that starts to come back online. Now, this message is coming through for someone who you might be connected to, very strongly connected to, protected by recording angels, or you may actually be a recording angel yourself. That might be part of your MO, that might be your gift, okay? That might be your duty here on earth, meaning that you're a person who you don't just take things in for the sake of taking things in. Unbeknownst to you, possibly, you are literally being used to record things as they are for the purpose of, you know, the recording angels that are actually, it's difficult to say because we're multidimensional beings, so sometimes we're functioning on this plane and we're functioning as recording angels on other planes too. So I don't want to get too into that because it can get complicated and confusing, but just know that your ability to do that efficiently now is coming back online. And for those of you who've had a lot of gaslighting happen in your time here, this could also be symbolic of the fact that this is one of your gifts also. I tell people this all the time. Wherever you're attacked the most is where you have your gifts. Okay? So wherever in this false matrix structure you had the most struggle is where your gifts are hidden. Nobody's going to try to hide a gift in plain sight. They're going to try to hide it somewhere where you're not going to get to. And they're going to try their best to make sure you don't get to it by downplaying that aspect of you. Okay, so I've often said some of the people who literally have been living on the streets in this false matrix are some of the cosmologically richest beings in the universe that are visiting the earth at this time. We were living in an inversion. Everything was flipped around, okay? Some of you beings who, I did a video about this a few months ago. Some of you have had the hardest time finding structure and order in your own lives. You're keeper of records. You're keeper of keepers and guardians of this earth. You're keepers of the order, the true order of this earth. Right? And so the whole point is to keep you completely out of balance so you don't tune into that aspect of yourself, right? So for those of you who are the ones who are connected to, you know, being keepers of records, you know, working with Archangel Metatron, if you vibe, you know, with that energy, you are the ones who, time and time again, in order to keep you out of that ability, have been gaslit. Because in order to function in this kind of office, you must be living in truth. And I'm not talking about universal truth, because that in and of itself doesn't really exist in a concrete way. I'm talking about your personal truth in alignment with who you are, who you came here to be, your energy signature. The more you're able to rise back into alignment with who you actually are, the more all your gifts, your talents, your resources start to come back online. Okay, so I think I'm just going to get into it now because so on Thursday, I had a group check-in session on Thursday. I did it for the 7/7 portal, and there was a lovely, lovely group of ladies that showed up for that, and it was a full house this past Thursday. And I don't normally go into my Karmic Chronicles deck in group settings, or at least no one's ever asked me to, but a beautiful soul asked me very specifically to go into that deck. And it was amazing how every card that came out pretty much was speaking to what she was going through, which made me feel like it's time to get back into this deck for a different reason than what I created it for originally. We're kind of going to get to the bottom of the story of what it is, of who it is you are, and maybe some of the things that you are going through right now, because one of the most difficult things that we're facing right now, and it's easier than it's ever been, but it doesn't mean it's not still difficult, right, is that these energies that want to keep us blinded, keep you blinded from knowing who you truly are. There's a lot of gaslighting happening right now. There's a lot, and then there's a lot of doubting that comes up because of that too, whether or not you are actually, connecting with what it is you know to be true in your soul, and you've known to be true for a while. And that kind of is the purpose of what's happening right now. That and a lot of attempts to pull back into shame stories in order to keep heart blocks alive. Okay, heart chakra blocks. Understand and overstand, Leo season is about connecting with higher levels of your purity of heart, your innocence, who you are, who you were before you got wounded in these false systems and structures and by the beings who upheld them in the false matrix. Leo season is about clearing your heart of those wounds and those blocks so that you're able to properly put out into the world your true frequency and have everything that aligns with who you actually are begin to come towards you, and for your protections also to step in, where the things that don't align with who you are repelled and pushed out of your energy field. Because your heart is your heart chakra. Your heart is where you give out what is in your energy field. What is in your energy field gets projected outwards through the heart. Okay, and I always like to be careful when I say that, because I take issue with all of these law of attraction people who like to say that you attract things because that's who you are, or you're wounded and all of that. Yes and no. You attract things in accordance with what is being housed in your energy field. You were living in a false matrix system that was an energy harvest complex where on every plane there were parasitic energies and entities that were connected. And with every decision you made, or that was made for you to align with certain false matrix structures, you took on those entities. And those entities were running around in your fields unbeknownst to you, calling in things that actually served their interest and purpose. Okay, so I'm very careful when I say that, because it's a lot more complex and intricate than many would like to think, and especially if you're one of these beings who has been thoroughly traumatized through these cycles. The purpose of traumatizing you was to split you, to get these energies and these entities to be able to run wild. Okay, so we've been doing a lot of that clearing of those connections on the other planes where these entities wanted to be in our energy field so that they could connect themselves across planes. We've been getting rid of a lot of those connections. In fact, most of them are gone. So the work that we're left dealing with right now, and this is where we are in the kind of like the midnight hour of this, is aligning our own minds, our own hearts, our own personal frequency, so that we become inhospitable energetically to those energies that still want to cling to our energy, even though they're not necessarily still have that connection. Those entities need a body, they need a source of life to flow through, because they're parasitic. They're not able to create for themselves. So they need other creator beings to flow through. Hope that makes sense. So again, this message was coming through because this is for somebody who is questioning, you're questioning your own reality, you're questioning what it is that you're experiencing, what you're seeing right now in the midst of an attack, because maybe you're being thoroughly gaslit. It feels like you might be being thoroughly gaslit, and it's quite covert, and you're picking up on it, and you're questioning whether it is the case or not. And I would say to you, go with what it was that you were feeling from the very beginning. A lot of the time we know from the beginning what is the truth, and then we use our own minds to talk ourselves out of it and to find all kinds of reasons and ways to rationalize something in order to put ourselves back into a seat of kind of like into a seat of acquiescing to the energy that wants us to. Okay, and we're not playing in these games of condescension anymore. We're not descending for another energy, entity, being, system, group that needs to persist in a deception or a lie. We're not coming down and descending ourselves in order to appease them in that place of deception. So this is really what these tactics, these gaslighting tactics, are about. Trying to get you to condescend, to come down from where you are in order to be a part of something or someone else's narrative that doesn't match who you are frequentially. Hope that makes sense, okay? And this is where energy harvesting happens also, because if you've been rolling with me for a while, you will know you cannot be energy harvested when you are walking in your truth. The only way you can be energy harvested is when you are pulled out of your truth and you are therefore split and you become open. Your energy field becomes open for other energies or entities to invade. And the way that that happens most of the time is trying to get you away from your truth, out of your power, scattered in your mind, to put you into shame, to put you into guilt, to put you into fear. All of these, the energies, the lower energies on the vibrational scale, try to pull you into that. Because it's only in that place that these entities, these parasitic energies, are able to actually get supply, are able to feed. So a lot of the time what occurs is when this has been happening to you and it's become obvious the way something or someone is moving in order to get you to condescend for the purpose of becoming supply, right? A lot of the time, once you begin to track the behaviors, the desire to get you back under their control, it becomes more covert, it becomes more subtle. Small things that maybe before you weren't picking up on, but you see the pattern. But because it's so subtle and it's so covert, this is where you have yourself questioning, is this really real? Trust what it is that you're feeling, okay? And again, if this is your situation, this is also an initiation for you, because some of you are recording angels, okay? And you're recording angels, meaning that it's time for you to come back online with your truth. But also, when these beings mess with you at this point, everything that they're doing is being noted even more. If that makes sense. Like some of you are like those inspectors that come in when something isn't going right on an energetic level, you get sent to certain beings, or certain beings come into your energy thinking that they're coming to fuck with you, but really what they're doing is they are coming to kind of give an account of where they are and what it is they're actually doing, and they're playing right in your face and not recognizing who you are. And sometimes you don't even know that this is your function too. Okay? So what is at the bottom of this deck is, you are protected by beings of darkness and light. You're not to be messed with. So this is this is a message for someone, and I felt this was coming through anyway. This is a message for someone who is you're in your wholeness. You're not in denial about who you are. You're not in denial about your darkness. You're not in denial about your light. You're not in denial about how wonderful and great you can be, but you're also not in denial about how low you could go, or you have gone, or you have the potential to go if put in the right circumstances. You're not in any form of self-deception about who you are. You understand and overstand that everything in all of existence is a reflection of you. You are the all. All of the things that you see, you experience, are a reflection of a part of you. Whether you choose to express that part, or whether you choose to grow and magnify that part, it's on you. But at the end of the day, you're not in denial about it. Okay, so a lot of the stumbling blocks in the spiritual community, they come from this obsession with love and light, to the point where we completely, we're living in these shame stories because we can't embrace the shadow. And when we do that, we harm ourselves, okay? Because we can even see in nature, and again, I will say this, nature doesn't lie. People lie. Nature doesn't lie. If you want to get how universal principles work, then look at nature and see how these things roll out. And I use the example, this was on Solar Rises when I did the full moon in Capricorn. I use the example, people who have an issue with beings expressing anger or using anger as a tool for ascension. It's there for your ascension too. You just have to look at how in nature, forest fires occur, storms occur, tsunamis occur, okay? Tornadoes occur. All manner of very destructive, angry energies come in order to close something out that has to go in the natural, okay? So that right then and there shows you there is a purpose for as long as we're wielding it in the right way for the right reasons, right? But in nature, let's look at how you're formed in your mother's womb. In the Bible, right? They have this verse in, is it Psalm 139, where it speaks about how you were wrought in the lowest parts of the earth. It says you were wrought in the lowest parts of the earth, and you were sewn together. And I'm not quoting verbatim here, okay? So it says you were sewn together in the secrecy of your mother's womb, okay? So it's speaking about how you're formed in darkness. We were all formed in darkness. And in that darkness, there is protection. In that darkness, there is protection. Things can be hidden in the dark, and when we often think of that as being a bad thing, and it is a bad thing when those things that are being hidden in the dark are being hidden to harm us. But growing up as a child, if you played hide and seek outdoors, you would always try to find the dark places to hide. That's where you were protected from the ones that would try to come and find you. The darkness also works as a cover. It works as your protection. It works as a boundary and a barrier to keep energies away that would seek to try to trespass. So, for example, an energy that many beings would say is dark is anger. But when your boundaries have been crossed, and you've already asserted yourself peaceably, and there are beings who don't know what it is to respect your space, your peace, universal law, then you are well within your divine rights to rise up in anger and to express it in such a way, to roar, to bellow, so that it is known you will not continually trespass into what it is I've said is my boundary. Okay, that's your darkness, being a protector. So when this card comes out right here, you are protected by beings of darkness and light. Okay, those beings are probably multidimensional aspects of you that you've taken back and you've integrated back into your energy field. Okay, so you are protected by the cover of darkness that is you, that was always supposed to be a part of you before you were fragmented and made to be ashamed of it, and you locked it away. And then that very darkness is what was constantly used against you to keep you trapped and repressing and shaming yourself. That fear of it, right, was constantly the way that we were all kept fearing and being stuck in these shame cycles. It's really interesting because right before I came out here, I said, let me shuffle these cards and see just what's going to come out in a pre-pull. Okay, the first 3 cards that came out in the pre-pull have come out again. Okay, now I've shuffled again since then. I've split the deck into 2 halves and have shuffled separate halves because this deck is so thick. I always will split it in order to get cards flying. And for the same 3 cards to come out, having done all of that, there is a message coming through. So we have your partner, your divine partner is an avenging angel, and they're pissed. Okay, so this would be more for a message for those of you who maybe recently a person who you would consider to be your divine flame, however you want to look at it. You know, I don't like to put labels on these things, but you'll know if it's you. They've been more in your fields, more in your awareness, more in your consciousness. It could very well be because they are fighting for you right now in other planes also, as you liberate yourself back into this position of not just being a record keeper, but knowing who you are. Okay, so another message coming through here is if you have been out of communication, connection with the person you would consider to be your divine partner, there's some kind of shift in the tides that is being brought forth by this energy. This energy is seeking to cage you, and the more you rise in your truth, it can't cage you. And the more you rise in your truth, the more it actually brings in those things that it once blocked. So for some of you, this very energy was not only blocking your throat, blocking your vision, blocking your truth, it was blocking the things that were meant for you divinely, that you were supposed to be contracted with divinely at this time for ascension, whether it is a divine partner or it is you know, divine opportunities. It doesn't matter. The very things that once you couldn't access because of this energy, the more this energy tries to poke at you, the more it's actually bringing those things in towards you faster, or in this case with a divine partner, activating them into awareness for what it is they need to alchemize in their reality, and also to protect you on other planes. We do have monitoring spirits. What I find really interesting about this is, yeah, there is this energy of something trying to watch you and try to figure out, you know, what it is you're doing, where it is you're at, trying to figure out your it's not your schedule per se, it's more where you are mentally and emotionally. And this is less of a person and more again of an entity, or a, like I said, a monitoring spirit. It's wanting to kind of gauge where you are mentally or emotionally so that it can use those beings who are so easily open to attacking you because of their own hostility towards you that they don't want to own, right? A lot of the time, these entities that want to attack you, they will flow through beings who have hatred and hostility inside their hearts towards you that they refuse to see, they refuse to own. This is why that love and light doctrine can be dangerous, because people will not take accountability for the true feelings that are in their heart. And that's the dangerous thing. It's not dangerous to harbor human emotions in your heart, even if those emotions are heavy like hatred. It's dangerous to be in denial of them, because when you're in denial of them and you don't see those energies and those entities that resonate, you know, for a living at that frequency, can run through you freely towards other beings without you being aware that they're even there, because you've closed yourself off from seeing that part of yourself. We're like a big old house, right? We're like a mansion, and we have many, many rooms, okay? If you have a mansion and it's full of rooms, and there's a room that you never like to go into, and there's a whole bunch of like things that move in there to like make it their home, you're not going to be aware until you are aware, because maybe those things begin to move out of the room. But if you forever ignore that room, then you will forever ignore what is actually going on in there. That's kind of what it is within our energy fields. When we refuse to take accountability for those so-called lower energies and how it is we're affected, truly affected, by things that have occurred for us with other beings, and how we've been brought to those places, if we don't take ownership for that, we can't heal it. If we don't take ownership of that, we actually can't truly rise. We can just pretend and use the vernacular and love and light everything without actually going into those dark places and dark spaces and making sure that we have authority over them, as opposed to those other energies or entities that hold that frequency for a living and can therefore hide out in that space that we refuse to go and take a look at. So I say that because there's an energy that is kind of lurking, that is wanting to kind of gauge. And this is something historical, right? Because a lot of these energies, these monitoring spirits, they've been chilling with you for a while. A lot of these are also these ancestral entities that have traveled with you across timelines. So they know your behavior. They know your history. They know your the way that you respond mentally and emotionally within the context of certain situations. And it's kind of like they want to see, how much have you gotten over? How much have you ascended? How much have you alchemized this thing? And if you've alchemized all of this, can we get in through this back door? Can we get in through this side door? Right? And can we do it in a really inconspicuous kind of way? And then this is where, when that occurs, it has you feeling like something's amiss, knowing that something isn't right, but then being like, maybe I'm making too much out of it, or maybe this happened, or maybe that. And that's to introduce confusion into yourself. Doubting yourself creates schism also. When you start to doubt your truth, you create schism within yourself. Whenever you create schism within yourself, you're opening a crack for an energy that wants to come in and use you as supply. So this is why I will always say to people, the highest form of protection is being in the wholeness of your truth, owning every single aspect of yourself, including those things that you were taught by the false matrix to be ashamed of. You actually have nothing to be ashamed of, because there's nothing new under the sun. There's no emotion, there's no feeling, there's probably no thought that you have experienced that other beings haven't also. It's just that we've all been taught not to talk about them, and we've all been taught that this is good and this is bad, in order to get us constantly stuck in these shaming constructs and feeling alone, like there's something terribly wrong with us, when there's nothing wrong with you. These, if there is an emotion that you experience, a thought that you feel, it's something that is likely universal, and it's part of your human experience. It's not for you to get stuck in that place and to create from that place. But if you've experienced it, there's a reason. It's not to be shunned or shamed, okay? We have that third card that came out, marionette action, puppetry. So this is the energy of, and what came out in in the other pre-pull was like the MK Ultra, subliminal programming. This is the energy of, again, with this monitoring spirit, like I said before, these energies are very aware of how to pull your strings based upon who you were and who you've been in the past, and still trying to figure out ways to do that now. Okay, and again, remember, the reason for that is to get you to hold on also to heart blocks. It's time in Leo season to clear your heart space of those things that stop you from being able to properly receive in accordance with who you are, and to properly be able to protect yourself. Leo season and Cancer season are very important for tuning your electromagnetic fields, your light body, into the proper alignment for what it is you're calling in and you're repelling in accordance with your emotions. Okay, so the second quarter of the zodiac is focused on your energy body. This is why the Cancer is the Chariot card. It's focused on your energy body in terms of the establishing of your frequency based upon your emotional resonance. The first quarter of the zodiac, Aries, Taurus, Gemini, it's all about your mental body, how you're able to connect with divine will, with divine truth, the divine mind, who you actually are. It's all about your ability to connect with the information you need that's going to be used to tune your emotional body back into proper alignment. But when you get into Cancer season, Leo season specifically, and then Virgo comes to integrate this wisdom to really liberate you and become a master over your energy. Cancer and Leo energy, Leo season, is all about recalibrating your waters and fine-tuning your heart and your solar plexus so that what you begin to create on this earth is a reflection of who you actually are divinely. It's about getting your emotional fields in alignment with what it is you're calling in. You call in everything, the final point of manifestation, everything is birthed through the waters. We see this also in nature. You are formed in waters. When it's time for you to be born, the waters break. As you're being born, you're born through the waters. Okay, and you come into, from one place of being completely in the dark, in secret, nobody could see you, to actually existing in the material planes. Your passageway is through the waters. Your emotional body is connected to the waters, not only the waters that flow through you, but the waters that flow in the air, the waters that flow on the land, the waters that connect and separate us from every single other realm and dimension in existence. Everything is connected and separated by waters, and your emotional fields are the currents that bring in the things you need to birth in accordance with what it is you're carrying in your mind. So if you are thinking these things about yourself, you know who you are divinely, you know you're this, you know you're that, but your waters are still sullied by wounding, by envy, by jealousy, by bitterness, by hatred, by resentment, by all of these heavy energies that are not wrong in and of themselves, but they become blocks to birthing beauty if they stay stuck in your fields, unresolved, unprocessed, denied, and repressed. Leo season, Cancer season is there for you to deep dive to see those things, right? And Leo season is here for you to rise up out. It's the sun. Rise up out of that darkness that has kept you bound. And it's kept you bound not because it's the big bad dark. It's kept you bound because you refuse to stop being afraid of it and love it and take back ownership and process those parts of self. You are being called to work with the element of air, to remove stagnation, to flow higher. in your perspective and in truth. So when you're called to work with the element of air, that can be as simple as going for more walks in nature and connecting literally with the air. It can be utilizing things like incense and, you know, when you light an incense, be very specific with the incense you're using in accordance with what it is you're desiring to bring forth, and programming that incense as it burns to burn away something or to bring in something. That's another way you can work with air. One of the most powerful ways to work with air is to use your voice to speak things into existence, to declare things over yourself, to speak things over your life. Your voice can program the waters. Okay, a good example of this is in the book of Genesis, where we see God speaking over the waters and separating the dark from the light. Okay, we are able to speak over things, speak over the waters, and change their molecular structure. And you yourself are 70+% water, 70 to 75% a lot of the time, depending on, you know, age, time of day, etc. But you are majority water. So you literally have the ability to speak over your waters and change your very molecular structures to come back into alignment. Listen, the truth is that none of us were tuned into our proper divine truth. We came from parentages where the same thing had occurred to them, and it kept on going because it was part of the false matrix program designed to wound us as children, wound us in the womb, so that we wouldn't be, at every turn they tried to keep us from tuning into our divine potential. It's through that energy of Cancer and Leo where you can go back and you can retune your settings, especially through Cancer, where you can retune, you know, like how when you were back in utero and your mother's biology was speaking to your cells, speaking, her emotional resonance was speaking to your cells. And it was under those conditions that you were programmed into becoming who you are. You're able to do that now for yourself. And not only are you able to do that now for yourself, but you are supported in that, because literally right now, the Divine Mother herself, the Divine Father are saying, come back and be tuned back into the true blueprint we had for you originally, before middlemen got involved and had you separated from that truth. Come to us. We will tell you the blueprint. We will tell you who you are. We will speak this over you again so you can speak it over yourself and you can activate your waters back into truth. They know that you know who they are or what they did, and they're scared. So this is for those of you dealing with these gaslighting situations that are occurring through beings, okay? What they're doing, in other words, is very conscious and conscientious at this point. It's not like they're not aware, in other words. Okay, and I don't really want to go too much deeper into that aspect of things, because this is about getting free. Getting free. Okay? I'm going to go into one more deck, and then we're going to finish up. Okay, let's go into the sacred geometry activations, because this deck's been speaking to me a lot this week. One of you beautiful souls gifted me with this last year, and I've been holding it on the side because I wanted it so badly, and when it arrived, I fell in love with it. I did love it, and then I had to put it down for a while because there are decks that sometimes you have to let yourself mature to a certain level before you can get the most out of them. And it was with this deck, it was that, and then it was also the Star Codes Astro Oracle, which I now love, which was also a gift from one of you guys. When I first got it, my guide said, okay, these are beautiful decks, but you need to do some work in this area before you're really going to be able to get into them properly. And then there's another one that someone gave me that I recently have been getting into more. It's all about It's all about the darkness. The darkness. I forget the name of the oracle deck. It's a beautiful deck. But anyway, let's get into this. Final messages, final messages. 16, Tower. Tower, tower, tower. Romantic love. The frequency of romantic love supports our journey to feel whole and complete through the experience with and reflection of a conscious lover. So that was coming through again in the deck with that your divine partner is an avenging angel and they're pissed. And I was saying how there's something here that's been activated that was dormant because of this energy. Okay, there's something that's being sparked through this whole situation. Something's coming back online, coming back to life. For some of you, it has to do with romance and very specific contracts that have been delayed. Remember, that's how I opened the reading, about delays, distractions, and how even in the midst of the delays and the distractions, things were still happening, and they were coming, and things were happening. I think my words were things were happening faster if you were able to take that energy and recognize what it's actually trying to do. It's trying to block something that is now inevitable. Those were my words. It's trying to block something now that is inevitable. Once upon a time, it wasn't inevitable because you didn't know what you were dealing with. You weren't dealing in truth. And not because you didn't want to, but because you didn't see the intricacies of the fuckery. You didn't realize who you were. You didn't realize what was happening around you. And now, as these same energies that once upon a time would dupe you so easily, try harder to stay under the cover and more covert to dupe you once again, is actually activating you higher back into the very contracts that it once stole, it once took from you. Okay, cosmic flower. The frequency of cosmic flower activates our remembrance of the place we call home, the core from which we pour our magnificence out into the world. So this is about returning to your primordial truth. Okay, but more than that, remember I was saying just now that that none of us were tuned into our proper divine truth by our parents. None of us. Because they didn't know how to do that. Because they themselves weren't living in it, and we weren't living in a world that supported that. Okay, so none of us were tuned into our divine truth. Our earthly parents, and this is what Cancer and Leo are about. The divine father and the divine mother show up through Aries and Taurus, right? More like our heavenly father and mother, right? And it's through Cancer and Leo that they actualize themselves in the flesh through our parentage and ancestry, which is why it is through Cancer and Leo season we deal with a lot of the mother, father, family wounds, whereas we don't really deal with that so much in Aries and Taurus season, not to the extent we do here, because Aries and Taurus, the emblem of the divine father and mother, are more about their divinity, and Cancer and Leo is how they translate that through our parents, or how that's supposed to be the job of parenting, is that the divine, as a mother on earth, as a father on earth, we are supposed to be the emblem of the divine mother for every child that we bring forth. None of us had that. Okay, which means that none of us were tuned in accordance with the original divine plan that was set forth for us by the divine father and mother. And so now what we're having the opportunity to do, especially through this Leo Cancer window where I was talking about, which is why I'm doing the Tarotstrology group, the importance of getting to know the contracts that are connected to your sun and your moon, because of what it means for you in terms of how you were parented, the contracts there, the wounding there, how you rise up from it, the resurrection from that energy. It all lives within your sun and your moon, okay? Because your parents are the ones who literally brought you forth. They pulled you forth out of the waters of creation by way of their connection to the Divine Father and Mother. But just because we're connected, and we're all connected, it doesn't mean we have free will. It doesn't mean we walk in accordance with truth. And so this energy is speaking about the ability to come back into accord with the truth of who you are, to come back home to yourself. And in doing so also, you are opening doors that have been shut off to you, to those you're calling in. Those things that are in proper alignment with you, that are here to nurture, nourish, and to, even for some of you, because we have this masculine, feminine energy, the story going. We have the father and the mother, and then we have the this romantic love energy happening. So this is about your counterpart. If you're, if you consider yourself a divine feminine energy, not just gender, but energy, this is about calling in that divine masculine energy that perfectly completes your yin and yang kind of look, and vice versa. This is really about also the alchemizing of duality. Okay, so remember I said that the darkness is a cover and a protection of your light. That's what the darkness is supposed to protect. You are a being of light. Your light means that you're loving, you're kind, you're empathetic, you're open, you're all of these things. And your darkness is a protection against those and those things that would seek to take advantage or to steal or to minimize or to dim that light. Your darkness works as a cover for that. So you could kind of think about it as a white circle encircled by darkness, by black. And then if you want to think about it in terms of how it's expressed here in romantic love, then it splits off into what we call the yin and the yang, with the white and the black on each side, and a white dot and the black dot and a white dot in the black side and a black dot in the white side. This is like the ability to alchemize your own light and darkness in such a way that it's in direct union with the dark and light principles of another being. I hope I said that right. Okay. So yeah. Oh, look at this. And as soon as I pick up this card, Romantic Love, look what we have here, Divine Masculine. Divine Masculine. So this isn't just about, again, this isn't about love per se. This is also about, Leo season is about the resurrection of the masculine energy as a protector, as your first protector. Your first protector is supposed to be your father in earthly form. They're supposed to show you how to shine, how to protect your light, how to utilize your light in ways where you're still protected. That's what that father energy is supposed to do through Leo, to help you to be yourself, to be confident, to follow your heart, yada, 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 and to feel protected in doing that. In other words, not to feel ashamed to be who you are. When you're not protected to do that, you develop a lot of shame. Shame that sits in your solar plexus, shame that has been imputed to you from the root chakra energies, family energies. Okay, so those energies already lived in your root chakra energy because you were formed from those energies. And then how your father helps you to either tune into your confidence to be yourself, or shuts you down, or doesn't stand up for you. It will build a shame story in your solar plexus where you become ashamed of yourself. And anytime shame becomes your narrative, it creates self-rejection and self-betrayal cycles in very subtle and in very real ways. And again, the false matrix needs you constantly rejecting yourself, denying your truth. Did that thing really happen? Oh no, I'm just making it up. Better to go with what you think you thought or felt than it is to talk yourself away from your truth every time. Because sometimes the reason you're talking yourself away is, again, because you've been taught that your opinion, your thoughts, etc., they're not valid. And so therefore you've been taught to invalidate yourself. And this is a season where we're being shown some of these things intricately. the ways we've been conditioned and programmed in small, subtle ways to reject ourselves, which is exactly why there's these small, subtle gaslighting energies that are here to initiate you. Do you really know who you are? Because if you know who you are, then when these small and subtle energies try to take you under, you can see them for what they are, and you will not deny yourself, you will not deny your truth, you will not reject your experience to choose what it is that the covert nature of those energies are seeking to do in your fields. So I've got to run. I hope that that makes sense, because it's the way, you know, like sometimes when you channel these things and you're speaking, I just hope it makes sense. Okay, so anyway, I'm sending you guys so much love. If you want to join me for that Tarotstrology small group where we look at your sun and moon, that's Thursday, August the 1st. Happening, I believe, at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5 p.m. UK time. The information will be in the description box below in the comment section if you'd like to book your seat. And for those of you who would like to come to the group midweek check-in session and get a card pulled and get some personal guidance for, you know, whatever it is you're facing on your ascension journey right now, then you can also do, you can join us. You can book your place through the description box and the comment section below. Okay, and for any of you who are you're really feeling like you need that kind of support, specifically the midweek group check-in session, and finances are an issue, please feel free to email me, and if I can get you into the group, I will. You know, depending on how many people get to me, I will try to get you into the group, okay? I did a free session in June and had 30 places sold out and 4 people showed up. So I will not do that again because it's a waste of time and it's not fair to others. But if you want to come to me directly and email me and let me know what's going on, that of course is going to be fine. So I'm sending you so much love. For all information, sorry, I've had to book with me, one-to-one soul recovery sessions, Tarotstrology, readings, reports, all of that stuff. You can check me out on my website, solara.info. Then you need to email me for bookings. I email directly with people to book in, okay? And for payment, I do that all directly via email. If you would like to join me on Substack, you can do so. The information will be in the description box below. Also, right now I have a special going, 33% off if you decide to join as a monthly patron. You get 33% off, and that price stays locked in for the next year. If you choose to join as an annual patron, you get 33% off, and that pricing gets locked in for good. Okay, so on Substack, I write every single day about these energies, sometimes personal stuff and how I'm going through what's happening. I do a little bit of poetry. I share other people's work on my Substack too, and you also get to have a monthly Q&A, group Q&A with me also as a patron, as well as discounts off one-to-one soul recovery sessions, okay? So those sessions also, before I forget, there are summer rates presently for my one-to-one 60 and 90-minute soul recovery sessions. You can find that information. The pricing reflected on the website is the summer rate. So, yes, and all of these specials are good until September the 22nd. Alrighty, I'm really going to go. I'm sending you guys so much love. I will see you again soon. Take care.